So this is probably the last video I make about Kevin Samuels. Even though he's kind of funny in spots, he's mostly really boring. It's just the same old nonsense all the damn time, and you know this. But the overwhelming impression that I get with this persona is that people get from him what they used to get from the Jerry Springer show. He's basically in that same category, I would say. It would seem to me that people enjoy him clowning certain women, embarrassing them, talking down to them, being very catty, bickering with women, right? Because he's a manly man, and that's what manly men do, obviously. But it's more entertainment, really, than anything of value. While there have been people who said that he gives good advice, I mean, I'm sure here and there are nuggets of wisdom, if you want to call it that, or quote unquote good advice. You know, if you never shoot, you always miss, right? Even a broken clock is correct twice a day. So it is what it is. But we're going to look at this sort of advice he gives, okay? I took a couple of videos I made about him off my Carneval channel because I don't want to get my channel shut down by Kevin. And I uploaded one of them to New World Order. But today we're going to listen to, I think this is his latest live stream. Maybe he's had one more since then, I'm not sure. Where he takes 4 phone calls, talks to 4 different women and gives them advice, I guess. That's why they're calling, right? So we're going to judge this advice for ourselves and see how good it is, right?
One love to the FBI. I know these CIA men in here are fine.
So he shouts out the FBI, and I know he means something by that, you know, and then the CIA, and he tends to shout out the CIA a lot, whatever he means by that, at least ostensibly. I don't really care. But could it be that this man is a CIA agent? In my personal opinion, gun to my head, I would say no. I don't think he's intelligent enough. Maybe he's being recruited or trying to get a job with the CIA. But for all of you balking at the idea that he may be, I mean, wakey, sheeple. You know, if I were to tell you that Ben Affleck is a CIA agent 5 years ago, 10 years ago, a lot of people would have gotten triggered. I mean, people are getting triggered as I'm saying this right now, even though this is public knowledge now, right? It is well known that Hollywood or the CIA and the Pentagon and whoever else are deeply embedded in Hollywood, right? So why not YouTube? I don't have any proof for this, but you know, if you dig deep enough, you'll probably find CIA connections to feminism, right? Just like the Black Panthers movement, so on and so forth. All these Marxist movements, you'll find some government agency, generally the Central Intelligence Agency, government, embedded in these movements, involved in creating them or infiltrating them and pushing them in certain directions, right? And the founder, at least the guy who's considered to be that of this menist or men rights activism movement, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? The guy that laid the groundwork for this thing called the manosphere, for example. I mean, he was a feminist, right? He came from the feminist movement. So menism is basically the same thing. It's just for men, right? It has the same roots. That's where it comes from. It acts exactly the same. This is what it is, right? One of the stereotypical images, right, is just to pile on to what I've been talking about already. One of the stereotypical images of some of these feminists is that they're, you know, short-haired dykes. And then you got these menaces like Kevin Samuels, right? I mean, come on, man. It's one and the same. Anyway, let's listen to some of this quote-unquote great advice that Kevin gives.
If you've been on more than one time, I'm going to have to start charging you an appearance fee. Oh, my God. You're back again.
Hi, I'm not on video,
So he's got this lady that's back on again. If his advice is so great, why does she keep coming back? And look, I'm not saying that this is the case with this person, but I get this sneaky suspicion that some of these women are paid actors, okay?
Mike?
No. How are you?
I'm good.
Why don't you want to be on video?
So, I have sort of like the reverse situation happening with me. Like, I feel like I'm in a man's position, and I guess that's the whole presupposition of this show is that, I feel like I'm attracting men who don't prioritize money.
Okay, but aren't you the chick that's, aren't you in Bali or something like that?
Yeah, we're in lockdown now.
Okay, so do
I'm moving
respect.
to LA soon.
You've chosen to live an atypical life. You talk about energies and universal flows and things like that. That's
So this is some kind of hippie chick that supposedly comes from a lot of money, that's moved to Bali to try to cope with her, as she calls it, lineage or legacy, right? Having come from money.
fine, but what do you want? A traditional outcome?
I want a man who's focused on making money. And
No, men
also
who focus on making money don't go to Bali looking for energy outcomes. They go to Wall Street. Why'd you go to Bali in the first place?
I was escaping from my lineage, which
What does that mean? Let's use simple words for my audience. Let's not make it overly complicated. Because I'm entertaining this, and it's like the fourth time you called. I'll entertain this because you're calling to get something, and I sense that you are a woman that's made choices that don't line up with the outcomes you want. Escaping your lineage
that's why I'm
means
calling
what?
it. The lineage is men who are disconnected from their emotions and purely focused on on up-leveling their money game without
Okay.
Okay, so she isn't completely and wholeheartedly rejecting the concept of money, right? And here's the problem with someone like Kevin Samuels. He is obsessed with money, right? This has been a problem in the community. Let me not say the B word. Right? And it's a problem facing a lot of different people, different communities, right? Just the obsession with money. And the problem with someone like Kevin Samuels is that he doesn't question the root of the problem, if you will, the underlying conditions that have gotten us to this place, which, could be the monetary system and what's wrong with all of that, for starters, and then maybe this whole obsession with chasing the dollar, which is problematic, right? So she's kind of touching upon that. She's not completely rejecting money, right? She says she wants a man that makes money, but she also wants him to be in touch with his feelings too, not just be a complete rat in this rat race, right? So she isn't wholeheartedly rejecting money, obviously, or the concept of money, or she doesn't want to be poor, but it's not the most important thing to her. It is to Kevin, right? But not to her. She wants more than just lots of money.
Okay, man. Okay, but is that a lineage? Is that your family lineage?
there's a lot of the American men that I know and
Okay, man.
my
When you say
family.
your lineage, that means your family.
Okay, so he's very petty and kind of catty, like the woman that he is. He will get caught up in semantics a lot of the times, right? Just to, put these women down, in my opinion.
Yes, my family, yeah.
You want to escape your family lineage.
Just to floss, just to show how, erudite he is.
Right. My family's focused on making money, including my mother.
Okay.
And I was completely, I have victim consciousness around, they abandoned me.
Okay, but I need to understand though. You want to escape.
Right? She has emotional issues, abandonment issues, so on and so forth. And he won't even let her get that out, right? This is what Kevin does. He has, like I stated in the past, this algorithm, and he tries to control and direct the conversation into one of probably 5, he's very simple-minded, predetermined possible outcomes, right? Dealing with emotion, abuse, things of that nature. That's just not in his wheelhouse. It's all about money, high-value men, and you just average. It's just it's very, very, very superficial. He doesn't get into a lot of the times the core, the root of the problem, right? He just pretends to have solutions. He pretends that one size fits all. Everybody falls into these 2, 3, maybe 5 predetermined categories, outcomes, life choices or whatever. And anything outside of that, he doesn't even want to go in that direction because he has no clue how to deal with any of that, and or is not really interested in any of that, right? He likes to keep things simple so that he could remain in control and make himself appear knowledgeable, right? She has emotional abandonment issues. We're not talking about that. All we talk about is what?
So does your family come? You come from money?
I come from
Money.
money, yes.
Okay. So, and you want to attract a man that makes money?
Right, but I'm not attracting men who make money.
But ma'am, I want to go back. You wanted to escape your lineage of money-earning, money-making people.
Yeah, because money had a bad rep.
No.
She's saying, yeah, but that's not the whole story. I'm not against money. It's just some of these things that come with money. No, right? This guy's, come on, man.
Ma'am, no. Let's stop right here. But are you the kind of woman they want?
Am I the kind of woman that men making money want?
Yes.
Yes.
No. I could take you to...
Completely changed the topic, flipped the script on her, right? He's just going to talk about what men want. She's calling in to get advice, telling him what she wants, what her problems are. And he's just like, he's not at all interested in what she wants. It's all about what the man wants, right? This guy gives good advice. Oh, zombies.
I could take you to a party, and as long as you didn't say anything, it'll be fine. As soon as you start talking, you'd run away my clients. You could shut up.
Right? He loves to put women down.
No offense. But as long as you sat down with pretty, it'd be good. As soon as you start talking about connecting the moon with the auras, you'd fuck all my...
Loves objectifying women. Now, he's probably correct to some degree when it comes to this stuff, but then again, probably not. He just generalizes, you know? What is she supposed to talk about? Stock options and shit like that? Really? Investing her money? But that's not what a woman is supposed to be talking about. Why even taking a housewife to a house party? For what reason? If women are supposed to be just there to take care of their men, and maybe that's all they're supposed to do is just hold their arm, you know, and look pretty, I guess. Don't ever open your mouth. You don't have anything to contribute, period. It doesn't matter if it's connecting the moon with the auras or whatever the hell that is. You just... It doesn't matter what she talks about, right? I would think.
Business up.
Why is that, though?
Because that's the way the world is, and you need to accept the way the world is and not how you want it to be. Grow up. Because that's the way the
world is, period.
World is, and you need to accept the way the world is and not how you want it to be. Grow up.
The world according to Kevin, right? Mr. Know-It-All. He's... This is the way it is, period. You can't tell him otherwise, right? His mind is made up.
So, yeah. So
grow up, man. No, how old are you?
Won't let her talk at all, right? Because if he allowed her to speak, right, she would, quote unquote, own him in a conversation. She'd make him look stupid. Because he kind of is.
I'm 27.
27.
Yeah.
The world does not owe you understanding, and it will not change the way you want it to. You want a man focused on making money? Guess what? They want a woman who's focused on them.
Not on, like, their astrology career. They don't want a woman who's, like, into astrology and... Like,
okay, all right. Okay, now we got to go. Okay.
Kevin knows what all men want. Period. Okay? And if you disagree, you're just being a baby. You need to grow up.
They don't want a woman focused on her astrology career. How much does your astrology career pay?
$100 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want to be on camera, right? But, you know, as I stated before, he has no respect for women.
That's provided you can work 2,000 hours. How much did you make last year?
Around 40.
And what's your highest earning year?
Around 60,000.
Right. You're a school teacher.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. High value men, your career would be a joke to these guys.
Well, it's entertainment at best, yeah.
You got first world.
So, what is he saying? She needs to make more money to attract a high value man? Or does she just need to be there to support him? Like, which is it? Yeah, okay, maybe, you know, if she wants a dude with money, he would look at her. He wouldn't need her to work. I guess that's the implication here. Okay, fair enough. I don't think she's trying to compete with these men, right? Why? I don't understand what the point is of putting her down like that, right? Other than just to put her down.
Problems, lady.
First world problems, right? Her problems are trivial, banal.
Why can't the world be the way I want it to be? Because it's not.
What's the worst that could happen if I
She never said that. Why can't the world be the way I want it to be? She's never said any of this, right? Now she has a question. Why can't she be with the man
with a man who's also making $40,000
that's on her level financially?
a year, coming from a family, a very well-to-do family?
Does your family, you have an inheritance?
Yeah.
If they cut you off, that's the
They
worst.
won't.
Well, see, that's the problem. See, that's the problem. They should.
I know they should.
They should.
I know they should.
They should because they should because all this shit you're talking about will become real. What'd be the worst of partner? You're not a partner. You'd be a mate.
What's the difference? A mate is a partner.
But you disdain money. But yet you've never had to live without it for real.
I disdain the consequences that
First world fucking problems. And I'm being honest.
So anytime she tries to talk about the problems that may occur in a family that's just obsessed with money, he cuts her off, right? He can't. He doesn't want to go there, right? Because it's just first world problems. They're this is trivial. It's not important, right? How you feel, whether you're being emotionally or physically abused or not. He doesn't care about any of that, right? Those are first world problems. I'm not saying this is what's happening to her, but he won't let her get it out. Like, what problems is she having, in her opinion, because of having come from money and being raised by money-obsessed motherfuckers? Like, what are these problems? Kevin doesn't want to deal with any of that, right?
As women like you, personally, I don't like women like you.
Yeah, he just enjoys, he gets off on putting women down.
Tell you why. Because men have had to go out and civilize the world in general to make the world comfortable enough to where a woman like you can thumb your nose at all the blood, sweat, and tears, clogged arteries, cancer, and everything else. Greater men have had to put you in a position to basically turn your nose up at your family's.
She's not doing that at all. At all. She's just recognizing for the 15th time certain problems that come with having a lot of money. For some people, anyway.
Your position. Ungrateful.
And for Kevin, having money is the most important thing, right? He probably comes from poverty. Just a guess. And that's all he's focused on, is money, right? It's not about taking care of each other, being kind to one another, loving one another. All of that is first world problems. Trivial, right?
Yeah, I'm practicing appreciation more and more every day, calling my father, checking in with him.
But good. But the point is, this is what we have made people in this country feel guilty about coming from money and having means. Well, if you want to do that, go give all your money away, give all your clothes away, and walk the world like one of the sparrows in the Game of Thrones.
She's not saying any of this. He's an idiot.
So have you seen successful relationships with women like me turning up with like a man that comes from a family with lower means, like less?
So she's trying to get him back on track to talk about what it is that she wants to talk about, right? She's got some dude that's not filthy rich, and she wants to be with him.
Money.
Have I seen a successful relationship with a man with less money? No, because
I'll give you an example.
No, so meaning a man making less money than you?
Yes, but he's way more beautiful than me. That's why I said I feel like I'm in a reverse situation.
Yes.
So he's never seen a successful relationship. Keep that in mind, because this will come up again, right? Between a man that makes less money than a woman, right? It's not something he recommends. He's never seen that, right? Succeed.
A woman who comes from means and everything else, her family's put her in a position that most women would dream of, and she's thumbing her nose at it and going purposely to get a beautiful broke motherfucker.
He's not broke. He's just not filthy rich. Like, why do you gotta go into, the extremes? He makes probably more money than Kevin did 10 years ago, right? Working at Home Depot, or Office Depot, whatever, right? Being Office Depot store manager. I mean, come on, dude, relax.
I personally find it disgusting. And I wish your father and your family would say, I love you, daughter.
He personally finds it disgusting. This whole thing is about him. This is a therapy session for Kevin, right? This has nothing to do with helping anybody other than Kevin himself.
So much so that I'm going to cut you off. Now, you go out and make something of yourself and put what you believe to the test. But don't call us when you need anything.
He even steps into her father's shoes and says, I would cut you, I am going to cut you off. This is all about Kevin, right? The guy's a narcissist.
So do you think it's wrong for me to invest in this man that I want to be with because he's already got his career started, but he needs a little extra support?
Ma'am, how can you invest what?
Money.
You don't make any money.
I have plenty of money, though.
No, you don't make any money.
He's not paying attention, right?
Money. The money you're investing in him is coming from whom?
It's coming from my father.
Thank you. So do I think it's right for you to invest your father's money into a man? Fuck no.
Okay.
Well, once her father gives her the money, then it becomes her money. And if it's her money that doesn't come with any conditions, she can do whatever the hell she wants to do with it, right?
Okay.
If your father was hearing you, what do you think your father would say?
If we were doing something together.
Is he your husband?
That's what we're
See? Constantly interrupting because she was going to make him look dumb. So he asked the question, but won't even let her answer, right? So disrespectful. Why are you asking a question if you're not willing to wait for the answer?
talking about now.
No, is he not your husband?
Not my husband.
No, he's not your husband. And would your father accept this man as your husband?
And look at her. She's really calm, collected, just chill, very, very patient. You could tell she's kind of biting her tongue here and there, and you see the frustration in some of her facial expressions. But she's keeping it cool, chill, right? So she's more like a man. And he's screaming, yelling, getting all excited, and, emotional and shit. Come on, man.
Would this man go to your father and ask for your hand in marriage?
He would.
And would your father say yes?
Yeah.
Your father would accept a man who can't provide for himself?
So he's running the algorithm on her and not getting the outcomes he wants, right?
Let alone you.
He would support
Your father would accept
That's why he interrupts her.
a man who can't provide for himself, let alone a wife.
He would probably take him in as a son.
I asked you a simple question. Your father.
This is how his mother talked to him. I asked you a simple question. Why can't you answer? Right? And then she probably smacked him around a little bit. It is what it is. So, he says the man can't provide for himself, right? What, making $40,000, $50,000 means you can't provide for yourself? Like, Kevin, so were you on welfare when you were working at Office Depot? I guess? Were you a broke deadbeat? I guess? Like he's not representing, he's strawmanning everything she says, basically.
Father would accept a man who can't provide for himself, let alone a wife.
He can't. No, he would not. But that's not this man. I never said this man can't provide for me. He can't.
He's making less than.
Loaded questions, right? He's all about loaded questions. And she has to stop and be like, whoa, wait a minute.
You.
But I don't need a man to provide.
That does not matter, ma'am. See, okay, here's what I'm going to do. You have money, book a session. That's what you do with me, because I'm not going to sit back and give you any more advice. If you want to spend some money, you
Advice? What advice has he given her? He's just yelled at her, put her down. He misrepresented what she was saying. He didn't want to listen to the real problems she's talking about. He misrepresented, strawmanned her argument, her problems, right? And now he's saying book a session. What? You'd have to be dumb, really desperate. And I'm wondering if she's an actress. I'm just wondering to give this man money to give you, quote unquote, advice.
You pay for my time.
Okay, well, it's my father paying.
I don't give a shit who.
She's slick, right? So her father, it's wrong for her to give money to her father's, I guess, money to a man she wants to be with and invest in the future with him, right? To support him financially, help him out. It's wrong to do that, right? Because it's her father's money, according to Kevin. But it's perfectly okay for her to give her money to Kevin for piece of shit advice, quote unquote advice, right? Book a session. I mean, come on, the hypocrisy with this dude is just, come on.
Ways But I'm not doing it for free because this shit I'm gonna get paid for. This is what happens when you make people feel guilty about having money.
She never did that. And Kevin's just obsessed with money. Everything is money, 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 money. Great relationship advice, guys. Great relationship advice.
That's why I say you think your father would yes, you can't provide for my daughter. You can barely provide for yourself. But come on in, son. It's not what men would do. Men would be like, Jesus Christ, can you find somebody better? Think about everything that has to happen.
That's not her father, according to her. But Kevin knows better, right? Kevin knows better.
For men or for a family to get to a level to where they're in the upper 10%, top 5%, 3%, and then to think your kids turn and say, oh, this money stuff. Man, if y'all don't get out of here with this bullshit.
Again, that's not what she's saying, right?
You know, the other chick from Valley is a really nice person, but that's something I will need to get paid for because that kind of consultation requires a lot of insight.
A lot of insight. He doesn't have any insight. He completely rejects her arguments, her problems, what it is that she's saying, right? What insight can you pretend to have when you won't even consider the facts of the case? What insight can you provide?
And see, again, first world problems. Let me go ahead.
Right? Her problems are just trivial. So her problems are trivial, banal. They're bullshit. But it will require a lot of insight to solve her problems. The guy's a walking, talking contradiction. Most of these grifters are. They just ramble. And it's crazy to me how shipified people have to be. How zombified, dumb the fuck down people have to be to listen to this guy and nod their head in agreement as if you were saying something of value, actually. Right? First world problems, but they'll require a lot of insight. Pay me. That's ultimately the message, right? Fuck you. Pay me.
No, she's not making it up. If you've ever known people.
Someone in the chat room is saying she's making this up, right? They're not too sure this is a real woman. Well, obviously it is, but someone with real problems, right? I get that vibe too with some of these callers that they're actresses.
With money, there's usually one hippie in the group. Okay.
Until watching you, I didn't realize how.
So, call number 2. She's gonna kiss his ass.
Good of a man I actually have around, per se, and I'm kind of just wanting your advice of if I'm going to be able to particularly keep this man.
So you guys have been together for how long?
So she wants to be with this man and would like to keep him, and needs advice on how to, or if she even can.
2 years. Let me say this though: we're both poly. We both live our life freely. It's not.
You're both poly?
Yes, sir.
All right. Does he have any children?
He has one.
How old?
But it was one of those situations. He's 7.
How old? Okay.
7.
And you're asking me if you can keep him around?
Yes, because I'm starting to realize.
So, is presumably a divorced guy or a single father is just having sex with her and a bunch of other women, and she's having sex with him and other men as well, right? They have a polyamorous relationship. Whatever problems this woman may have, right, in this relationship, that's probably where they start.
That I grew up in a single mom household. My mom was African American. Did that whole bit where she took me away from my dad, that type thing. And I'm realizing now that I learned a lot of those bad qualities when it comes to treating a man.
But I want to know, but you want to keep him around in what?
Real quick, another black woman, right? Oh, the racism, man. Black people's racism is wow.
Status.
Oh, as we are now. We've already spoken of like later on just building on what we have and sharing our partnership and then possibly, you know.
But not marriage, an open relationship.
Yes, but marriage is the end goal for the money security. I'm sorry, that sounds
okay. Well, I need to be okay. Well, does he want to marry you?
No.
We spoke of it, but as of recently, he said he couldn't even think of that because of the fact that I basically, sorry, it's a little humiliating for myself. I don't necessarily respect him at all times.
Okay, my opinion. Obviously, I don't have a lot to go on, but this is the direction I would go. In my opinion, he's a dude with a kid, right? And he's just sleeping with her. And this whole thing, you know, maybe at some point, maybe he considered marrying her, maybe. Maybe it was just a ploy to get in her panties, right? I don't know. But this whole idea that like, oh, I don't really want to marry you because you're rude or whatever, or you're impolite, or, you know, you abuse me in some way, shape, or form verbally, if only verbally. That could just be an excuse to keep banging her and not commit, right? I mean, he's in a polyamorous relationship, right? Why would he want to get married? That's not how you look for a wife, right? That's not. And it's hilarious to me how people in the manosphere will cite these studies of women who have had a lot of sexual partners and how a high percentage of them get divorced, right? And they try to find some like deep meaning and evolution and blah blah. Like they take it into this whole realm of like scientism and just ideological drivel, when the answer is pretty simple, right? People who have commitment issues have commitment issues. Bingo.
You're in a poly relationship with a guy with a kid, and now you want it to turn into a traditional relationship, a marriage relationship. That's not what happens.
The smartest thing he said so far, right? He points out that this is a problem. Is he going to go in that direction, right? For him to go in that direction and talk about all that, he's going to have to give her the scoop about men who get into these polyamorous lifestyles, right? He would have to tell her that he's just having sex with you, probably. He doesn't really want you. And even though this lifestyle may be justifiable, it would still require for Kevin to point the finger at the man, right? But he's not about that.
It's just not what happens. But I want to focus back on you. Are you an only child?
Right? I want to focus back on you.
I am.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the problem. You're the only child. Yeah, that's the problem. Bam, solution, right? He's got these... Again, it's just certain basic bitch algorithms that he tries to run on these women, right? With predetermined solutions. He's not looking to get to the bottom of the problem, the core of the problem, and solve it. It's right there in front of him. He sees what the problem is, right? But then he redirects and attacks her, right? Because he hates women.
Uh-huh. And how tall are you?
I'm 5'4".
Dress size?
I am a 6'8". I'm 15 pounds overweight at 157. Trust me, I'm on their journey. I know.
A little bit bigger than 157, but okay.
No, sir.
He does this all the time, right? Just judges their appearance, and I guess that's fine. But you know he does this because you watch him. You come on the show wearing this very revealing clothing, showing your gut hanging, right? In portrait mode. I begin to wonder, are you a self-loathing motherfucker, or are you getting paid to do this? Right? Is she just an actress? Or she just hates herself and enjoys the abuse that Kevin dishes out?
That's okay, but what I'm saying is, why impolite?
That's what I'm trying to understand myself, because I've been through therapy.
Oh, and by the way, Kevin was raised by a single mother, so there you go.
And things, and I just don't. It's because I know everything we do is a choice. That's something I'm learning.
And I believe, well, I don't know if he was a single child. Anyway.
Right now as well.
Well, let me ask you. Let me whittle it down. Let's go back 500 years ago.
Let me whittle it down, right? You're straying off the path that I want to go down on. Let's go back to 500 years ago. Not last night, right? When her boyfriend dipped into her and then dipped into some other chick, maybe even on the same night. No. Let's not go back to that. Let's go back 500 years. That's where the problem lies. To say that this guy misses the mark is a compliment to him.
If you were impolite and he could slap the shit out of you, would you be impolite?
Right off the bat, he gets verbally abusive, insinuating, and in my opinion, promoting abuse, right? Physical abuse.
No, sir, and that's many comments that we've had.
Oh, wow. What a simple solution. Bring back spousal spanking. That'll solve all marital problems, guys. Thank you. Bravo, Kevin. You're a fucking genius. The guy's a scumbag. He gets off on attacking women, and he wishes he could batter them. It's in there. Because his mama beat his ass, basically.
If he could slap the crap out of you, would you be impolite?
Not at all.
Thank you. That's why it is, because there's no consequence.
So these are the relationships men and women should have, right? Slaver and slave owner. And then everything will be all right.
So respect, I don't have respect for you. Yeah, that's there. But why should a man need to resort to violence to keep you as polite? I shouldn't have to make that.
Right? Have to. The man's a victim. Even though the man is hitting the woman because she's verbally abusing him, it's okay for him to escalate it to physical abuse, which is far worse, right? Because that's also mental anguish, causes mental anguish. But it's perfectly fine because he's the victim. He has to resort to this. It's all your fault, right? So you got a man abusing a woman mentally and physically versus a woman who's just abusing him psychologically, mentally, and the man's the victim, according to Kevin, right? This shit's so twisted. I don't understand how people don't see this.
Frame of an example. You know better. So leave him.
And you're right.
Then leave him. Go find somebody else.
So her problem, her question was she wanted to be with him. Okay, I had to plug my phone in. Anyway, this is where we left off.
So leave him.
And you're right.
Then leave him. Go find somebody else.
Leave him, go find somebody else, right? So, woman calls in asking if it's possible to salvage her relationship, and his answer to her, right, the help that he offers is to leave him and go find somebody else. Okay, so that's not solving the problem at all. She's just gonna bring the same baggage into this other relationship, this next relationship, and the cycle's just gonna repeat. I'm not saying that leaving him isn't a good idea, maybe. Yeah, it probably is, right? But leave him, go work on yourself, fix your problems, and then go find somebody else. Or fix your problems and try to make it work with this dude. But, I mean, come on. She's just a side chick for him. Probably, most likely. So, right, this is great advice from the relationship guru, right? Leave him and go get with somebody else. Don't solve your problems. Don't work on yourself. Just go, be a side chick for somebody else. Let these men, all these different men, get a piece of you. Instead of settling down, which is what she wants to do, and being with one man, right? Just continue on fucking around, basically, so that man can get hit it and quit it. There's amazing advice. This guy is like so good at giving relationship advice.
But why would I do that when?
Because you don't treat him like he deserves to be treated. You're impolite to a man.
Okay, he has no clue what this guy deserves to be treated as or not. Now, everyone deserves a basic level of respect, no doubt about it. But we're just getting one side of the story. We don't really know what he is like to her, right? She's just a side chick to him. She wants to be more than that, but to him, she's just a side chick. So, I mean, to just automatically assume that the guy is an angel and she's, well, that's just what he does, right? That's just his shtick. It's boring.
He's not impolite to you, so leave him.
He's not impolite to you. How do you know that?
Go out here and find better. And let him go find somebody that's polite to him. Because what you're doing is abusive. See, I want everybody to think about...
Find better. So this guy is perfect, or presumably good enough, or great, but she should just go out there and find better, right? It's the best you can do, but go out there and find better. The guy's a retard. He's just an emotionally triggered, money-obsessed, women-hating troll.
Slapping, yes. See, she's using verbal violence. I always say women, the aggression line with black women goes one way, but you're verbally aggressive. You're emotionally abusive. This is abuse. So stop abusing him. Go somewhere else.
Why is it?
I mean, she is nodding, but, she's been so agreeable anyway. He has no idea. Like, she's never even given an example of how impolite or rude she's being to him. You know what I mean? But he already acts like he knows how bad it is, and this is as bad as it can be. The guy, come on, man. The guy's a nutcase.
That I cannot work on that now. Like,
Well, there's nothing to work on, man. You either
Right? She wants to work on it. No, there's nothing to work on. Don't solve the problem. Great relationship advice. Who the fuck? Look, I can understand if you've seen one or two videos and he said something that was somewhat true. Maybe you didn't really investigate or think about it too much, and you were like, yeah, I agree with Kevin Samuels. Fair enough. But who the fuck fanboys for this motherfucker, right? Who? Someone who hates women. Someone who's probably beat up by their mama. Probably. And just wants to get their lick back, right? Mama verbally abused you, so now you want to hit women. Or at the very least, verbally abuse them. Right, Kevin?
okay. I want to say what I just said. You already know you're being impolite and rude and disrespectful. All right? But you said out of your mouth, if this were a world where when you were impolite, he could slap the fire out of your mouth, you wouldn't do it.
Okay. Right? I can be extremely nice and agreeable to my wife, but if that made her want to slap me, and she could slap me, then I'd be rude to her. What is this? What is he doing? Right? Other than getting off on, in his head, beating up women, verbally abusing them. Just because a certain reaction to a certain action could prevent that initial action, right? That doesn't mean that that's the just reaction, or that it gets to the root of the problem, right? That's a really fucked up band-aid to put on the wound, instead of looking on how not to get cut in the first place, right? Obviously. What is there to work on, right? She's trying to find, why is it that she's rude to him? Trying to get to the bottom of things. And he's saying, stop being rude, because if he were to slap you, you wouldn't be rude to him anyway. So just pretend or imagine that he's slapping. I don't know what the fuck he's saying. It's literally retarded. So, and he knows, I think, he suspects what the root of the problem is, right? Polyamory. Clearly, she wants to be committed to him, but she's doing this poly thing for whatever weird fucking reason. But that's probably why she's angry in the first place, because she doesn't want to do it. She's pressured into it, maybe by him or by people around her, by society, you know, and I don't know. Clearly, it's not working for her, which is probably why she's angry at points, right? That's if you're gonna try to find a solution to the problem, that could be going to the root of the problem. It's one possible avenue, right? But you gotta ask questions. You gotta question where it is that this comes from. But that's just not what he does, as we found out in the first phone call, right? He wasn't interested in where the problem was coming from, because he has his predetermined, already set up solutions.
So that means there already today exists a model for you to have control, because you fear a consequence. But today there exists no self-control or consequence that you...
Oh, what a wonderful relationship to have, right? Living in fear. What a great relationship to have.
have to adhere. So he can apply no consequence, and you have no reason to put any kind of self-control onto it, because he's tolerating it. He should leave. This is an abusive woman, and we need to start calling abusive women out to their face and let them know they're abusive. Ma'am, you're abusive. It's not impolite, it's abusive.
No, it's true. I completely...
So once again, you have a woman who's calm, polite, measured, right? Chill. And he's yelling, screaming, getting into his feelings, right? Attacking her, right? He's verbally abusive to her, obviously.
But you didn't say it was I'm unpolite. You didn't come in and say I abuse my man. You do know, because if you said ABC and...
Again, he gets caught up in semantics, right?
You wouldn't do it anymore. He shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have enough self-control to check that. But see, the problem is you won't leave him, because you know good and damn well you can't go back out there and get any better than him.
Go out there and get better. You know you can't go get better, so go out there and get better. This is amazing advice.
Exactly.
See, to my critics and detractors, You guys are swayed by sweet sounding and nicer. I get to the root of the matter. This is an abusive situation.
I get to the root of it. I mean, you could not have missed the mark worse than you have.
And you know better. I don't know what you want me to tell you other than stop being mean. No, I say you should leave. I thought I said you should leave because apparently he's not strong enough. And you're the abuser.
He's not strong enough to stop having sex with her occasionally? What?
Sir, I'm not going to say I'm going to leave him because I know what type
Of course not, because you're selfish. Because you're selfish. Of course.
I am.
Because you're selfish. You know, just abusing and attacking her.
I want you guys to understand. I want you guys to understand how jacked up this is. This is a woman who is saying, I'm going to stay in a relationship where I abuse somebody, and I'm going to stand it for my selfish reasons, not because I want better for him, because I can't do any better.
Right? Clearly another straw man. That's not what she's saying. She wants to figure out, get to the bottom of the problem and stop doing that, right? And he says that she wants to do that, and she wants to be in that kind of a relationship. He's completely misrepresenting her, just as he did the first woman. And he's telling her to leave him, and she's saying no, politely too, that she's not going to do that, right? And it just gets him more and more triggered, right? Because she's not listening to him.
That's modern women for you people.
See, I thought that you were going to say that if I follow with what you're saying and I actually put my mind to it, that I would be able to do.
Ma'am, you don't have to put your mind to it. If he could put his fist to your jaw, you wouldn't do it.
If he can put his fist to your jaw, you could literally kill someone by doing that, especially a woman if you're a man. Okay? She isn't giving in to his little bitch-ass baby whims, his yelling and screaming, getting all emotional, trying to, you know, get his piece of candy. She's not giving him that little piece of candy. So he gets angrier, and the true Kevin Samuels comes out, right? A guy who, in my humble opinion, has a history of hitting women. Okay? Fist to your face. He shouldn't have to put his fist to your face. This guy's a fucking degenerate, okay? And, okay, I won't go there. But should he somehow turn up in somewhere, okay, the person who put him there will have done the world a huge favor.
Why do you need to put your mind to it? You already know it's there.
I'm not giving myself an excuse, but just...
Yeah, she recognizes the symptom, but she doesn't recognize the cause. That's why she's calling you.
So, you know, I've just recently known that it was there.
And if you treated your pet like you treat your man, your neighbors will call the police on you.
Oh, really? If you yell at your dog for whatever reason, your neighbors will call the police on you. Fuck you.
And this is a goddamn shame. You thought I was going to do what? Side with you? Give you some motivation? Leave him. You're an abuser. And until you can get your shit together, don't deal with anybody. But
okay, that was a good little piece of advice there. A little bit. But I mean, he's not really helping her get her shit together, is he?
how are you going to leave him, though?
Just pressing. Like he really wants that piece of candy.
To be 100% honest with you, probably not.
There you go.
That'll just make
there you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. I'm gonna keep abusing the shit out of him because it benefits me.
So he gets triggered because the woman's not listening to him, and he hangs up on her like a little baby, right? Because he's a manly man. He talks over her, won't let her say anything, and then he does the slap sound effect, right? Because this dude enjoys hitting women. Like, how is this so difficult?
We have allowed one-way aggression for far too long, especially in the black community. She didn't try that shit with me because she can't do it with me. And she won't go out there because she knows that she can't find a man that's better. So like I said, it'll be no different than if it was a man going home and slapping a woman up and saying, but I can't find no better one, so I'm going to stay here and abuse you.
Right? Once again, he says that physical and mental abuse is the same as just mental abuse, right? That's just his bias, obviously.
We call a man who will go home and abuse a woman.
She can't, and then he also said she can't do that shit with me, right? He internalizes all of this. This is a therapy session for Kevin. His demons from his past are coming out. And, you know, he's just a narcissistic piece of shit who makes everything about himself, right?
All kinds of things. They pick get that man able to cancel him. But how many of my critics will sit back and say, "You too mean, too harsh"? Somebody will say,
And look at him, right? All upset. He's a bitch. He's yelling and screaming and talking with his hands. He's a triggered bitch, right? The woman, who's supposed to be all those things, was calm and you know, paid attention and tried to get to the bottom of it. She was rational. This dude is completely emotional. He's not making any sense. His advice is garbage. And he's just getting emotionally triggered because he's a bitch.
something's wrong with my freaking tone with that woman. How old are you?
I am 36.
So what do we got?
I agree with majority of everything you're saying about modern women and our problems,
Call number 3, right?
even our masculinity. But before I get to that,
So, excuse me. Right off the bat, she says, I agree with you. Like, women, we got a problem, right? The modern woman has a problem. She's masculine, blah, blah, blah. I agree with you right off the bat. But I want to talk about the other side because that's all you ever talk about. And this is my own conjecture, right? This is all you ever talk about, and that's not getting to the bottom, to the root of the problem, because this is a 50-50 thing, right? Let's talk about how men are contributing to the same problem.
I just want to know, where were all the marriage-minded men when I was in college?
Where'd you go to college?
Norfolk State University, HBCU.
The marriage-minded
Bingo, right?
men were at the library. They were in student government. They were at the law school. They were over in the science building. They were in the engineering sector. That's what.
So he's saying there were a lot of marriage-minded men in college, right? She just didn't look in the right place, I guess.
They were. They're
It
the
was
very.
very not, sir. It was very difficult to even formulate relationships.
And she, who went to the college and has more experience with the said college than he ever could, is saying, well, no, that's not what it was like, right? So she's pointing the finger back at men, saying like that they weren't really into marriage, and he won't let her say any of that, right? Because the goal of this Jerry Springer show is to point the finger at the person that's there and ridicule them, make fun of them, put them down, and slap them up, if only verbally, right?
Okay. All right. No, you're not listening. You're not listening.
Are you listening? I mean, the hypocrisy of this guy is crazy,
You got your mind made up. So why are you listening? Why are you asking me?
right? He's projecting, clearly. That's totally him. He's got his mind. She's got her experience that she wants to share. You're the one with the mind that's made up. Clearly, she told you that she agrees with you, right? You probably changed her mind, or you helped her see something that maybe she wasn't too aware of. So her mind appears to be malleable, at least to some degree. How about yours, right? Not at all. Projection.
Did you have a relationship while you were in college?
No, I wouldn't consider them relationships. I dated, but not a relationship.
And the people you dated, were they? Did they play any sports? Were there any organizations?
One was, he played sports on campus, but he wasn't interested in a relationship.
Okay, one was, and what about any?
Oh, wow. A college athlete wasn't interested in a relationship? Shocking.
Anybody else?
Well, after him, it went so awful, I pretty much stopped dating guys on campus because it was a sex fest. I mean, that's
Okay, so in other words, I'm gonna talk about this later on this week too. This is what I mean by the trauma. Modern women today are weak. They have one
I
bad.
didn't stop dating.
Right? He just points the finger at her, and this is so boring, man. It's so predictable, right? Men had nothing to do with this. It's just modern women are weak. So what is she supposed to do? Just keep trying, keep putting out, and he'll, if a woman, because he's done this before in the past, if a woman complains that all these guys want is sex, he'll criticize them like, well, what's wrong with that, right? As if she was supposed to give it up, period. The man needs to have a ride before he buys the car, right? Something along those lines. And then when she says that this is what these men want, right? He doesn't want to have anything to do with this. He doesn't want to talk about that at all. When he encourages that sort of a thing, but now when it becomes a problem, right? And she wants to talk about that, he doesn't.
I just didn't date guys on campus. I dated.
Stop. One experience on campus was with one man on campus. You cannot tell me Norfolk State was just Sodom and Gomorrah.
Why not? World doesn't owe you understanding, Kevin. World is the way it is. Okay? Get used to it, buddy.
Yeah,
When I got there in the early 2000s, yes, it was.
No.
That's her experience, right? That's what it was like. And let's not get too absolute here. I'm sure there were other guys there too, but in her experience, for the most part, that's all she saw, right? That's her experience. How are you gonna deny her that? Like it's not true. The world doesn't have to be, is not the way you want it to be, Kevin. Take your own advice, buddy.
I was trying to be in a relationship.
All right, this is not going to happen. See, you already have all the answers.
No, I don't. I'm just telling you.
No.
He's projecting once again. This is him, right? She's not going along with, his algorithm, the path that he wants her to go on. She's like, no. I know how this works, and this isn't the right path for me. This is what I want to talk about. He won't let her, right? This is just, he's so boring, man. It's the same shit over and over and over.
You cannot come in and say that. You cannot come in and tell me that the entire campus, it was just one big orgy. It's not what happens.
Of course it does. But that doesn't mean that everybody's like that. But, 80, 90%. Yes. That's what it is.
People went to attend Norfolk State.
Roughly 8,000.
8,000. So that means you cut off roughly 4,000 black men because of one.
So she should have fucked 4,000 guys to find the right one, potentially, or just kept fucking them till she found the right one, right? But wouldn't that make her a slut that nobody wants to marry? Because he'll say that if you're dating a man and he wants sex, you got to give it to him. And if not, then, go kick rocks. So he's telling her, go fuck all these dudes till you find the right one. Basically, that's what he's saying. If you read between the lines and you know what he's about. But then at the same time, he'll say, well, you used up piece of ass. Nobody wants that.
It wasn't just one.
I don't give a shit if it was 10. That's still
right. It wasn't just one. He completely and utterly misrepresents what she's trying to say. He's not listening. He's strawmanning everything she says. Because this is how the algorithm works, right? He had this bit about modern women being weak and giving up too easily, right? That's what he wanted to push. So it had to be just one guy, and she gave up. And when she says, well, it wasn't just one guy, he talks over her. And then he complains that I had to overtalk you, right? Because she's not feminine enough. He's the bitch here.
4,000. It's because oftentimes women like her come in asking, where are all the men? And it's not the men, it's them. They attract what they are. We attract what we are.
Right? We attract what we are. So go fuck all these dudes till you find a husband. But you're not going to find a husband because you a hoe fucking all these dudes. You attract what you are. You need to be a hoe, right? And you're going to attract players and pimps. So be a hoe so you could attract all these players and pimps so that I could have material for my videos to put you down and call you a hoe. Is this how it works, Kevin?
And if you had 1-2 bad relationships, so what? Men are told to get back out there and get on the horse. But if you chose to date outside of campus, you still pick something that didn't work. And you say, we're all the marriage-minded people? Well, number one, men...
After you date a few dudes and you see a certain pattern, you have enough experience, you're going to be able to talk to someone at a bar or what have you, and you'll know what he's about already because you have enough experience. Well, you got to keep fucking these dudes to find a husband?
Aren't typically very marriage-minded when they're between the ages of...
Okay, so college men aren't very marriage-minded. But just a second ago, he was saying that, well, there were all these marriage-minded men at Norfolk State. And now he's saying that there weren't, right? Once again, contradicting himself. It's just, the guy's a moron.
18 to 23 because they don't have anything to offer. So you're asking a question that's a loaded question to try to point blame at men who weren't even in the ballpark.
What loaded question did she ask? She didn't.
Well, no, it's just because I'm based on your premise that men control the access to marriage. So even if I have a marriage mindset, or if I want to get married,
so every guy. So you mean to tell me? So you mean to tell me that? I'm asking you a question.
I'm gonna ask you a question. Right? He's running the game, the algorithm right now. He's gonna ask her a what? A loaded question. That's why he said it, right? Because it was on his mind. He was setting up his next trap. Right? He's accusing her of asking a loaded question. There was no loaded questions there. You tell me where. Go listen to this. Find the loaded question. Right? But he brought that up because he was thinking of how to set up his next move, with this loaded question, except he's not that good at it, which is why he has to over talk people.
Okay.
From your time for Norfolk State, were there guys who asked you out that you didn't go out with?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Were any of these guys suitable for marriage? Meaning?
At the time, no.
Oh, no.
He's trying so hard to have a gotcha moment, and he can't even set up a loaded question properly because he's not intelligent enough, right? The loaded question he wanted to ask was something along the lines, did you reject men that were suitable for marriage, right? But he's too dumb to ask a loaded question. So he has to ask a whole bunch of different questions and step in his own shit, right? Because he's not smart enough.
At the time, were they college students?
Yes.
Just like you, right?
Yes.
Were they progressing towards their degree?
Yes.
Just like you, right?
Yes.
What made them unsuitable for marriage?
So they were in college, studying, right? Well, no shit, buddy. She told you that she was in college with these men, and that's what you do in college. You progress toward a degree. What are these questions? This guy gets lost in his own bullshit. Again, he wants to ask, did you reject suitable for marriage, men that were suitable for marriage? But he's not smart enough to be able to formulate that in the way where she says yes without questioning the hidden premise, right? Suitable for marriage.
They were philanderers.
Philandering meaning what? Meaning they were single people? Meaning they were
What, he doesn't know what philandering means?
single? They were single? Ma'am. They were single men on college campus. I'm asking you about a date. What did you expect?
What is he saying, right? So every single man is a philanderer, basically, right? He has the right to do so. He's just single.
Men to stop doing everything they No.
Right? He mutes her again or hangs up on her. Men need to stop everything they were doing? For you? You mean philandering? Well, yeah, if you want to get married, right, and they're suitable for marriage, supposedly, yeah, they should stop that. If you're saying what are you saying? Are they suitable for marriage? Are they not? Well, he's saying both, right? Whenever it suits them in this conversation, they're suitable for marriage, and when it doesn't, they're not suitable for marriage. It's just... The guy's a fucking retard.
See the holes in the logic here?
Holes in her logic. Projection.
I'm not going to overtalk you. I asked you if you were in college. Yes.
He is over talking. He muted her, right?
They were philanderers. Y'all weren't in anything?
Yes, I'm talking about specifically for the women who wanted to get in a relationship. It was
right. So he says it's perfectly fine for men to be philanderers, while at the same time, there's a lot of married-minded men on campus. It just, come on.
very difficult to get in a relationship.
Okay. Again, I ask you about the men around. So you didn't date. So basically what you're saying is every man that approached you were all philanderers. Everybody's fucking everybody. No one wants to do anything. Okay. Then you are the okay. I'll take it.
Okay. So now she's right. We spent all this time bickering like a little bitch just to say you're right. Because it's probably the truth. Which isn't to say that there weren't some guys that were interested in marriage, but those guys probably had, steady girlfriends that they were committed to, or they weren't dating at the time because they were looking to get their degree, get established, and then find a woman, and not these, they weren't going to look for a wife amongst these women that were just having sex with everybody because it was one big fucking fuck fest, right? College in general, definitely that one, according to her, and Kevin seems to agree, wasn't a good place to find a mate. Okay? So we had to go through all this bickering, bitching and moaning, putting the woman down before you finally agree with her? Why did you over talk her so much? Right? He just can't help himself. He's a catty little bitch that loves to bicker with women.
So what about the men who weren't on campus?
Well, then there were the Navy guys, and
And what was wrong with them?
well, I did have a couple opportunities.
Loaded questions.
One wanted me to move to Japan. I was in school. I wanted to.
Oh, okay. So, and you were going to school for what?
So maybe there was nothing wrong with the guy personally, as a person, as a potential mate, but, you know, he wanted to go to Japan and she was in school. The logistics just, it didn't work out.
English.
Right? Fake laughter. So they got to a juncture where maybe there was a suitable man, but the situation, the logistics were all off, right? It wasn't going to work out because of, you know, him moving to Japan and her having not wanting to move to Japan, right? So clearly he wasn't, even though he may have been suitable for marriage if he were to stay in the States, or as a person, he could have made a suitable husband, but because of the fact that he wasn't going to be there, that she would have to uproot herself and go live all the way across the world, well, the situation wasn't suitable, even though the man might have been, right? And having realized that, he has to sidetrack and distract. So what did you study? It doesn't matter what she said, right? He was going to make fun of her anyway. Whatever her answer was, he was going to find a way to make fun of her, to distract and go in another direction, because he just stepped in his own shit. So that's why you get this fake laughter and the slap sound effect, right? I just hit a woman. The guy's a piece of shit.
But I'm not.
Wait a minute. I just got. I mean, there was one guy, and he was suitable, but he wanted you to go to Japan. And would it have been better to go to Japan with a man who was in the military?
At the time, no.
Why not? So. At the time, see, ladies and gentlemen, modern women.
No, but I'm.
Right. Once again, it's just the same boring fucking nonsense.
Want perfection. Perfect. Everybody's having sex with everybody. Was this guy suitable? Yeah, but he's a philanderer. So in other words, in order to...
She never said that, right? That was the loaded question he failed to set up. Tried to. So he's kind of going back to it in a way, as if he had already done that. As if he had succeeded in setting her up with the loaded question. No, dude, you failed. Like, all this shit is in his head.
Date you. I got to drop everything that I'm doing over here and go to date you? Who the fuck are you? And how old are you again?
I'm 36.
Right. Ma'am, college was over almost 15 years ago. What's been the problem since then?
Well, I moved to a city that the ratio, there's no men here, at least in my experience.
What city you live in?
I'm in the DMV, the DC area.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, and real quick, because I don't know if he'll go back to it or not, but this dude was suitable for marriage, right? He was in the Navy. Now, I looked into this, and it seems like the average income of a Navy man is somewhere around 40,000, maybe a little bit more. Some make less, some make more. Very, very few make over 50, right? So for this one woman, the guy that's making 40 grand is a deadbeat that can't even support himself, let alone you, right? But for her, a guy that's making roughly the same amount of money, that's a good choice, right? I mean, the guy's a fucking hypocrite.
Sorry. Human beings exist.
Well, I think...
almost 40. You're almost 40.
I know, Kevin. I'm trying to make a change. That's why I've been listening to you. I've been getting out there.
The first thing you need to do is stop. First thing you need to stop doing is pointing the finger at the men and start pointing the finger directly back at you. Just maybe, you weren't a wife.
There's definitely truth to that, but it's a 50-50 thing, right? Men are philanderers, women are hoes, and by the time they wake up, they're all too old, right? And maybe that's the problem. Part of the problem. And she admitted that women are the problem. Like, okay, I know all this. I've been listening to you. I get it. But let's talk about the other 50%. Your show is biased. She didn't say this, but this is the implication. Your show is biased. But in order to get to the root of the problem and solve these problems, we have to acknowledge the other half. And he's saying, no. We just need to talk about you. It's all women's fault. Point the finger back at you. She wasn't pointing the finger at the man. She acknowledged that women are the problem. Let's also talk about men, right? She's not just pointing the finger at the men, but he wants to just point the finger at the women, right? Because his mama beat him, and he's resentful, and he hates women.
Maybe all you were is a jump off in a
which is why he can't get a woman, right? And they probably look at him, you know, he's a Fruit Loop.
booty call. And you talk about a man who was in the military, so there was a military money and benefits and stability that were behind that, and you still...
There he goes, right? Military money, benefits, and stability. When a guy making the same amount of money was a deadbeat that couldn't support even himself. All of a sudden, because, you know, it suits him, that's a great catch. Fuck you.
chose the effing degree. You got what you wanted.
Well, that's true. I admit that. I wasn't raised to be a wife.
Exactly. So stop putting the problem on the men. You came through asking why we're the husband.
Right, she admits, again, she admits women's part in this, but she also wants to, in order to solve the problem, you got to diagnose it correctly. Right? And he's saying, no, it's just you. The men are perfect, right? Men are perfect, even though a man with a $50,000 salary is a deadbeat. But then he's great and perfect too, depending on whatever's clever.
You weren't a damn wife, and I disproved it by going through each one of your sections, and every time you pointed at the men instead of you.
No, I take blame.
No, you haven't.
She did, right? She took blame. This guy's an idiot. This is good advice. He's not even listening to anything she has to say.
Go back and listen to this section, man. You haven't taken any blame.
When I go out,
He needs to go back and listen to it. She's taken blame on at least 2 different occasions.
I see either a lot of gay men. I see a lot of people who are already
He's triggered.
coupled up, and the men that are single are either very young, like in their mid-20s, or if they.
When's the last time you went out? When's the last time you went out?
But I went to a bar at in the harbor. Like I've been trying to get out there and just doing your advice. I'm gonna go sit at a bar.
What is that tattoo? 7 tattoos and the TLC kind of short haircut. Man, you don't look like a wife either. You attract what you are.
Yeah, I mean, there's truth to that. It is what it is.
Now, I attract older guys, but they're usually out of shape, old, and they have no style or anything like that. Like I think you have to be attracted to the person that you're with.
Remember what I said at the beginning, men? Ladies and gentlemen, remember what I said? The problem black women have more.
The whole style thing, that's just stupid. That's a problem. It is what it is. But that's the kind of thing that Kevin pushes, so why would he have a problem with that, right? Kevin is all about style. But it's dumb. It's superficial. It narrows your it narrows down your possibilities greatly because of what? Style? Who's to say that your idea of style is the correct idea? It's stupid, superficial, subjective nonsense that could change on a whim anyway because fashion does all the damn time. So if you're gonna look for synchronicity insofar as style, you're just a dumb fuck.
Anything else, they, unlike any other group of women, a man has to have a high social class and they have to be sexually attractive as well. This is why 1 in 4 were married, because a black...
Yeah, but at the same time, he pushes this idea of a 6'6" man, right? I mean, that tells you everything you need to know, basically. 6 feet tall, 6-figure income, and 6-pack, right? Why do you promote that sort of an idea and then tell women to settle? Why? You promote, on the one hand, you promote this in men, encouraging to be as good as they can be, but for a woman to want that kind of a man is somehow a problem. I think it's because Kevin wants those men all for himself.
Man has to be damn near perfect for them to even consider him to be an option. Every other man could just be overweight, no style. That sounds like a goddamn husband to most women.
Being overweight is an issue, especially, she's not fat. She sounds like she's pretty normal. I mean, there's a whole bunch of problems that come with being overweight. Let's not even get into that.
So, Kevin, what would you say? What would you recommend that I do? Like, I am trying to
lower your standards and check your attitude.
What do you mean by lower my standards? Just get an average.
Ma'am, okay.
I do agree with this a little bit. Like, just give up the whole style thing. You know what I mean? At the very least, give all that up. And I would say, stop trying to find a man at a bar and maybe even a coffee shop. Go on one of those like group retreats where when you go hiking or something like that, go to a park. Go to church if that's what you're into. Go, just change. If you can't change the people around you, change the people around you. Change your surroundings. If this isn't working for you, try something different, right? Bars, maybe even to a certain degree, coffee shops. Maybe people, definitely in bars, when they go to bars, they're looking for mostly just a hookup, right? Go to a fucking library. You might be surprised with what you'll find, right?
All right, let's do it. How tall are you?
5'5",
Dress size?
4,
How much you weigh last time you weighed yourself?
142.
Okay, so this was in my head from having listened to this before. Yeah, she sounds pretty, normal. Not skinny, not fat.
On a scale from 1 to 10, what would you rate yourself? First face out of the shower, no makeup, you can't use 7?
Right.
See, this is just an example, that's why I included it, of how he controls the conversation, right? Blah, 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 you can't use 7? What's the only answer she can give? So he prejudged her, he decided she was a 6, and he forced her to say that, right?
How much student loan debt do you have?
About like 100 grand.
About 100 or more?
100 grand.
Consumer debt? Excuse me?
I have a house.
Right. So you still have over $150,000 worth of payments. Okay. So you're financially.
So she has $100,000 in student debt and $150,000 left to pay on her house, with $40,000, if I remember correctly, of equity in the house.
Attractive. You're $250,000, $250,000 in debt, and you are a math teacher, and you earn annually what?
92,000.
92. See, people hear 92.
92 and growing, sir. I'm not done.
It doesn't matter if you're 92 and growing. I'm just saying, teachers aren't rich, is my point. You're doing upper middle class, above average. Great. But you're still 36, set in your ways.
I know I'm not set. I'm willing to submit.
Okay, you asked, ma'am, and you're having a hard time even being agreeable in this conversation.
So I should give up? I'm done?
No, what I'm saying is, you asked me, I said, what you do? I said, you should check your attitude and lower your standard.
So he called her financially unattractive because, according to him, she's $250,000 in debt. But if she is to find a husband, right, presumably, he's going to have a house, right? So she sells, or if she has to move to Japan or wherever to be with him, right, Kevin? Just go where he's at, right? She's going to sell her house. And then, if she just sells it for what it's worth, or what she has to pay for it, then with $40,000 in equity, right, she's going to be $50,000 in debt only, right? So, but he needs to make her look as bad as possible, right? And I mean, yeah, it's a debt, I guess, but she owns a house, right? She has a house. We're just going to ignore that, right?
You said settle, and I'm like, I don't know why y'all think somebody...
I didn't use that word. I didn't say so.
Right? He just puts words in their mouth. This is the algorithm.
You maybe have been rude, but you're certainly not agreeable.
Right? You're not agreeable. You don't agree with my bullshit. What's wrong with you, right? This is the game he plays. You don't agree with my bullshit, so that's the problem.
And I say what I say, you're set in your ways, you're very masculine, for sure. So, an average man...
I was being polite.
Well, you're being polite.
Being set in your ways and stubborn, that's not a masculine trait, okay? That's women are like that too, at the very least, if not more so than men.
See, the thing is, funny, being polite and being masculine, you can be masculine and polite. You're not being feminine. How many times have I had to mute you, overtalk you?
And I have one more question, if I may.
I had to mute you and overtalk you. He had no choice. You could have just let her talk. He's the one who interrupts all the damn time, right? And this is a perfect example of how the game is played, how he plays the game. He's the one muting her. He'll ask a question. She tries to answer, and then he won't let her finish. Just goes, no, right? And then he calls her rude, right? He's just projecting. He's not taking responsibility. It's all the woman's fault. And then she says, I have one more question, if I may. And he just hangs up on her. He's a little bitch, right? This is like a woman getting into an argument with her man and just running out.
I got one more question. Book a session then, shit. I don't give a fuck.
She would have to be really stupid to book a session with this dude. And perhaps, has a history of being abused to want to subject herself to this guy's abuse.
Fucking minds.
Well, I don't really have a question. I just think that
Caller number 4. We're almost done.
I am looking for someone on my level. Average.
Okay. Where can't you find that?
I've been single for 6 years, so I don't know.
Average. Where you at?
Canada.
Any children?
1.
How old?
He's 11.
Where's his father?
He's in New York City.
So you were married and your husband was in another geography?
Yeah.
There's only one geography, Kevin, if we're going to be petty and play semantics. There is only one geography, bro.
We started off together, and then because I'm American, I sponsored him, Well, the plan was for him to come to Canada, and he decided that he wanted to stay in the U.S.
No, the plan was,
So it sounds like they had a long-term, long-distance relationship. They had a kid together, and the plan was to bring him to Canada, but something happened, and
changed. Then you go where your husband is.
he decided to stay in New York, right? So he didn't want to move to Canada. For whatever reason, maybe the process was too long. He wasn't willing to put in the work to be with his son and live with his wife in Canada, right? It's not impossible, right? They were doing it, but I guess it was too much for him. And if he really wanted to be with her and his son, he would have gone through with it, obviously.
Supporting all of us. So that was, instead of living with me, he decided to live with family members and get a job. And he didn't want to come to Canada.
Then you move with your husband.
Okay. So, first of all, how does he even know that the invitation was extended to her and her son, right? He moved in with his relatives. Maybe it was some, projects in New York with, 10 people living in a 2-bedroom apartment or something like that. She's supposed to just move in there? I mean, he has no clue, the point is, what the situation was, if she was even welcome or invited. But it's simple, right? First world problems. It's simple. Just move in with your man. Was that even an option, Kevin? And here's another thing. He, as he told the first caller, I believe, has never seen a relationship between a woman who got his shit together and a man who doesn't, or they're even at the same level. Forget the fact that this guy seems like, we're just going to say, maybe that's not fair. We're just going to say a deadbeat, right? No job, whatever, lives with his parent, relatives, whatever, right? They're not even on the same level like in the first case where he said that he's never seen a relationship like that work because the guy was a deadbeat, making $40,000 a year and having, no glass ceiling, upward potential. He wasn't suitable. He was he couldn't even take care of himself. But this guy that has to live with his parents, just barely got a job, right? She's the one making more money, it would seem. She has the house, she's set in Canada. She's supposed to abandon all that and go live with this deadbeat in New York and his family. Even though he's never seen a relationship like that work before. Not even like that. This is even worse than the first scenario. He completely and utterly rejected because the partners or mates were on the same level, right? So this guy, once again, it doesn't take very long for him to contradict himself. He's a buffoon.
No. You ask, I'm gonna give it to you.
Okay.
As unsexy as it may sound, you were a wife. Your husband decides to stay in New York, you go with your husband.
I guess the situation is a little bit different because they are married and they do have a kid, right? But still, the point remains the same. He's never seen a relationship like that work, according to him, and yet he's telling her to go make it work. He's a hypocrite.
No.
There's a reason.
Okay, whatever reason is, ma'am, you're divorced. So you should have went with your husband, if at all possible.
Should have went. Someone who's a stickler for grammar and words, semantics, Kevin, you're quite the hypocrite yet again.
He couldn't take care of us.
This is what you get, people. Ma'am, you married and made a baby.
He couldn't take care of us, right? So he mutes her, and this is what you get. What do you mean? You made a baby with him.
With him.
The immigration process.
Well, yeah. So he just goes back to their origin story, saying like, "Oh, you fucked up by marrying him." Okay, so you do agree that the idea of her moving to New York is a bad one, right? We going back on what you said? The advice that you just gave her was bad advice. Is that what we're saying now? Right? Kevin, the world doesn't owe you understanding, okay? The world isn't the way you want it to be, Kevin. This is her situation. It's in the past. She cannot undo the past, Kevin. Okay? The world isn't the way you want it to be, boy. Take your own goddamn advice. Deal with the problem at hand. This is what it is. Can you deal with this? No. It's not in his wheelhouse. He doesn't know how to give relationship advice. He's just here to bash women and abuse them.
It takes.
You married him, you made a baby with him.
Right? Just mutes, hangs up on all these women, just zero respect. You married him, you made a baby with them.
I don't play these games with women. We were separated because of geography. What happened when people used to be thousands?
What game? This is her life. This is her situation. I don't play these games with women. I don't solve people's problems. I just bash them. That's what he's saying.
Years ago, when a man married a woman and had to go march the continent at war, he came back home, he still had a wife.
How is this an analogous situation? Right? He's talking about a man that came back home and he still had a wife, and saying that it's the same situation as a man not coming back home, not wanting to go home. This guy is fucking incoherent, belligerent.
So now you're a single woman in Canada with a kid. Enjoy it. Shit. The world does
Fuck you.
not owe you understanding. And why should somebody come and be a stepfather to your kid who's damn near a teenager? Always excuses with women today. Well, you gotta understand. I ain't gotta understand shit. You should have moved in with your in-law.
If you don't understand, then how can you have a solution? If you refuse to understand, how can you solve the problem that you refuse to understand?
Oh, and then when it comes right down to, I like Canada, I had a job, I'm comfortable. You're there, those are your people. I'll divorce you and I'll keep the kid. That's what.
She never said any of that, right? The guy's deluded. He just makes up these stories in his head. This is, again, for the umpteenth time, this is the algorithm. This is who women are because he says so. And he's going to do everything he can to make them fit into these archetypes that he has already created in his head. That probably was created by his mama beating his ass. I mean, I'm sorry. This is just my opinion.
It came down to, you know it and I know it. So I don't need to hear all the other backstory bullshit.
Right? I don't need to hear the backstory bullshit. Book a session. I'll solve all your problems. Book a session. Oh.
You want me to give you some solutions?
Yes.
You make $92,000 a year when you only got a cat. Book a session.
Right? You want me to give you solutions? Right? Give me money. I don't give a fuck about your backstory, but I'm gonna give you solutions. Pay me money to bitch you out, yell at you, put you down, verbally abuse you, pretend like I'm slapping you around, because this is one fucking long narcissistic therapy session for Kevin, who's been whooped by his mom his entire life, and now he's so resentful. He hates women. He's giving back as good as he got. But ultimately, what this shows you is that this is a vicious cycle that includes both men and women. Both men and women have their part in it, and they're both to blame for it, right? So he ends on this, little cat lady dance of his. because he's such a manly man with such amazing advice for both men and women. Fuck this shit. I'm out of here.